this is just a quick look at packing boards for a surf trip. Just, yeah, first key thing is definitely make sure you get the right bag. Most of the bags are pretty padded these days. They've got space for multiple boards, so you can obviously buy anything from a coffin bag which has wheels and stuff through to kind of more of your day use bags. This is a triple by Creatures. It's a fun board. Not necessarily that I always have fun boards in this, but I like a wider bag. It just needs more space as opposed to having a bag that fits too tightly on the boards. Generally, you want to go for a bag that's bigger than the board. So most of the boards that I'm taking on this trip are, under 6'3". This is a 6'3" bag, so I'm going to have plenty of space in there to take other gear as well to protect the boards. Another key thing to look for is, the separators. If it's a multi-board bag, these are super handy. If you don't have them, no worries, you can just use a towel or some of your other gear to kind of separate the boards. But we'll get into it. So most of the time I grab a bit of bubble wrap. You can get these from most hardware stores. A good tip is even going to other kind of product shops. So for example, I think I got this from a blind shop. They had heaps of excess bubble wrap. So it's good to recycle. So always handy to have this around. Firstly, I always just lay this in the bottom of the bag. Make sure your straps to secure the boards are sticking out of the bag so you don't pack them on top. So firstly, I always grab the bigger board in length to line the bottom. Obviously, if you've got wax, these are nice freshies, so I'm not too worried about it. But if you've got wax on your board, you can take the wax off. Depending where you're going, if it's somewhere tropical, it can be super annoying to kind of rock up and all your wax is kind of melted off because it's been left on the tarmac. Also, you don't want to get waxy bottoms, so not a bad idea to remove your wax, but if you don't want to, then all good, just put a towel there so you don't get waxy bottoms when you rock up. So lay your board down nice and flat, bigger one on the bottom. I'm lucky this bag has the separators, so you can see I've wrapped the rails with the bubble wrap there. We'll wrap this later on. So I can put that over, take the second board, and layer that on top. Keep in mind always just to look at the edges of the board and the rails. You want the bubble wrap and any kind of padding to sit around that for obvious reasons, like the more protection on your rails, the less likely you're going to get damages when you rock up. So another tip with all your accessories, so on a trip we'll put a list of like our gear list for going on a trip, but obviously you want to take wax, make sure the temperature of the wax is for the right climate. If you're surfing cold water, you don't want tropical wax. You're just not going to have a good time. Generally, it's always handy to keep your fin bags around because it's good to kind of stash all your accessories in it. If you need anything like grub screws or spare fins on your trip, you can use these to kind of put your stuff in there. You don't want it to be too bulky, so it's really up to you. We generally will keep a bubble wrap spare, and you can wrap up your stuff in there because like fins are pretty hard. You don't want your fins pressing up against your board and digging. If someone stands in the bag or something, it'll just go straight into the board. Most bags these days have a stash pocket for gear. Otherwise, you can kind of separate it between to protect your tail and stuff. But in this case, there's not much stuff in here. Just going to put it in the stash pocket for a bit of extra protection. I always put a piece of cardboard in the back of the bag. This is a big one. You can kind of fold it over and so on. Foam I generally use for the nose, but you can use it for the tail as well. It's really up to you. It's just extra protection. Like at the end of the day, the worst thing ever is rocking up on a surf trip and you've got really fun waves and a bunch of broken boards. So that just helps the tail because that's the tail and the nose generally are the things that kind of get damaged the most, and the rails. Then finally, just all the gear that you're taking on your trip. You don't have to put it all in there, but just as an extra layer of protection, got your poncho, if you're into ponchos. Take a towel, layer it over the top. And remember just to wrap it around the rails. Final step is always remember to clip up your boards. With some of the bags, the modern ones, they've got like neoprene protectors, which is super handy because you don't want the clip going and damaging or dinging the board. Tighten it up just so the boards are nice and secure in the middle of the bag, because you don't want the boards like misstacked and then so some of the rails too close to the edge of the bag, just so they have the best chance of kind of arriving safely. So just the same on the back. Make sure it's nice and aligned. All right, and that's it. And then what you've got to do is zip up your bag. These guys on the side here are great to just pull the bag a little bit tighter, so just to keep everything kind of secure inside. The cool thing as well is with most bags, the strap comes off. Definitely a hot tip to take the strap off, because otherwise the baggage handlers are just going to be throwing your bag around. Also, I've had straps break on me, so it's easier just to kind of leave just this handle, less places for them to mess up your bag and your boards. And yeah, and you're good to go. And then check your bag into with the airline. Other hot tip is maybe put a fragile sticker on it. Most of the bags these days come with kind of fragile, but it doesn't stand out too much. So you can either get fragile tape or a sticker, and that can help you out. And then you're off on your trip. See you later, guys.